You are the only participant in the conference.
Greetings, this is Christine Van Pelt on Gibson County, Indiana, State Coordinator for the Indiana Assembly, and I want to welcome you all to the new member orientation. This is for those that have at least stated that they live on Indiana today. They call Indiana their home today, and they want to learn more about what they need to do for status correction and how then they can move forward then to helping to support the reconstruction of the actual de jure republic. So we'll go ahead and get things started. I want to remind you to put your county, your name, at least your first name, and your county in the chat. I'll start with mine, Christine on Gibson County, Indiana. Welcomes you. All right, so we've got in the chat. So when you come in, you can be able to post comments there as well. All right, so we want to, we'll run through, we want to make sure you put your name in the chat. Again, if you're in the, and what county that you live on Indiana, which county, not which country, which county. There are 92 counties on Indiana, and we want to make sure that you are on one of the 92 for Indiana. So let's go ahead and we will start with the Bivens decision. All right. This is a public meeting. Anyone in this meeting claiming any form of U.S. citizenship or employment with any federal agency is now, for the next segment of this gathering, new member orientation class, invited to either declare your presence and business here, or we ask you to leave the class at this time. I will repeat, if you are a U.S. citizen or an undeclared federal agent, please raise your hand or post in the comment or vacate the gathering. Post in the comment if you are. You're still welcome to be here. It's just important that you identify yourself up front. Okay? So, we want to, I don't see any comments. Again, I repeat, if you're a citizen or undeclared federal agent, you can raise your hand if you are in free conference call. There's an emoji animation for that, or you can post in the chat. Hearing and seeing none for the third and final time, this is notice that if you do not respond appropriately to this Bivens declaration, immediately you are made fully liable for your lack of disclosure, and any so-called evidence that you collect is tainted and inadmissible. No one can attend any of our meetings in secret or in private without answering to a roll call or without announcing or declaring their presence. All right, let's keep moving forward. So, a misconception to be corrected. The primary goal of this assembly is to reconstruct our lawful government of the people, by the people, and for the people. This is done by helping people with their status correction and educating people on what has happened and what we're doing to correct the wrongs propagated on Americans by our wayward employees. So we want to while the remedies are nice to have, we have to keep in mind that rebuilding our lawful government is most important, because most of those remedies will not even be needed, because our wayward employees will be brought back under the correct auspices allotted to them under the Constitution. Okay, so we're here for restoration. It's the reconstruction. We're not here to reform anything. Want to welcome you to the call. If you will, please, in the chat, put your name in the chat and which county you're on, so on Indiana, so we know where you're from and we can welcome you appropriately. All right, so we'll go ahead and keep going. You will need to still post something in the chat, or because you do need to be noted. We do not come to these calls without identifying who we are. So you can either take a moment and put on the mic, or which it says no audio. So hopefully you should be able to have chat abilities. If you aren't able to post in chat and you're not able to use audio, you might want to go over to YouTube, because free conference call is where we can actually be able to engage and connect with each other and communicate. Okay, so all I see on the display right now is Tracy. So Tracy, if you're going to stay with the call, you'll either need to find a way to make a comment here or post a chat what county you're on Indiana. We'll wait till you do something here, Tracy. There's a chat in the comment, or you can *6, I think, is to be able to switch it if you're on your phone. We are here to actually engage and participate with coming through on free conference call. If that's not your intent, you're more than welcome to watch the live show on YouTube, or I think Odyssey may even have it going as well. But you will need to state what county you're on, please, Tracy. I do see you say no audio, but that does not excuse you from posting in the chat. You're welcome to go over to YouTube if you're not able to actually connect and communicate on free conference call at this time, till we learn the text with it. All right, let's see. Tracy, you still haven't posted a comment or anything, so I'm going to have to remove you at this time. You're welcome to go over to the YouTube and watch it from there. Again, we're here, we present ourselves, where we're from, and free conference calls so we can actually connect and communicate with each other. So you're welcome to go over to YouTube, and then when you're able to come to free conference call where you can actually connect and communicate, even if it's just commenting in the chat, that's fine. Have a great day. All right, so we do have to take note that you've got to be able to connect and communicate with us, okay? This is not a just everybody show up free for all. All right, we are here. This is serious. There's not going to be any lurkers hiding about. If you're showing up on free conference call, that means you're actually wanting to communicate and engage with. You're welcome to just view on YouTube if that's what you're looking for. All right, we'll go ahead and continue. All right. Okay, so again, we're here to restore our lawful government. We're not here for any kind of reformation. We're here to restore it. So, course requirements. All new assemblymen and women are to attend the orientation classes. This is to ensure a strong foundational knowledge about who we are, how we are organized, how committees are formed and how they function, and the overall goal of the assembly. Given previous experiences, it was determined to be the best course of action to help people adjust to the way things are done within the assembly, since it differs from the corporate model that we've known our whole lives. Tracy, I see you've come back to the call. Are you able to post in the chat what county you're on? Either post in the chat or actually connect with your microphone. Putting no audio next to your name is not an acceptable approach to be able to attend this call. We do not come to calls in hiding. We always present ourselves. That's the purpose of the Bivens decision. No one can attend any of our meetings in secret or in private without answering to a roll call or without announcing or declaring their presence. I'm not seeing a response from you in the chat. I think if you're on your phone, it's *6. So that you can be able to make a comment and actually speak with us. Otherwise, I'll remove you from the call again. But you are holding up our call for this. And if I have to, I will remove you again. Again, you're welcome to free listen on YouTube. Also, there's the radio that's playing on the free conference call meeting wall that you can listen to as well. But if you're going to be on free conference call, you've got to actually communicate with us that you don't get to use no audio in your name as the excuse to not be able to connect and communicate. One more opportunity, Tracy, and otherwise I will remove you from this call. All you have to state is what county you're on. You can either do *6 and do it if you're on your phone. You can select the microphone in the bottom left and unmute, or you can put it in the chat. But we're going to continue and move forward, and I guess we're going to move forward without you on this call. You should be able to have mic capability, but at least on this end. But all right, Tracy, again, either you can leave a message in the chat as to what county you're on, or you can actually speak and state what county you're on, or you can go over to YouTube and view from there. All right, I'm removing you from this call. All right, we will continue. All right. Oop.
The recording has started.
Oh, okay, so we'll see. It should have been recording all along as well, hopefully. All right, again, no one comes to the call without presenting who they are. You're more than welcome to sit and view on YouTube and join us, but you still need to put what county that you're on. We're not here to hide like U.S. citizens. Okay, we're actually here for actual work. Okay. All right, let's keep going. All right, so again, course requirements. All new assemblymen and women are to attend the orientation classes. This is to ensure a strong foundational knowledge about how we are organized, how committees are formed, and how they function, and the overall goal of the assembly. Given previous experiences, it was determined to be the best course of action to help people adjust to the way things are done within the assembly, since it differs from the corporate model that we've known all our whole lives. So we have some key concepts. We want to always remember you're self-governing. We're a community, a family of people working to restore our lawful government. We're not employees. We're all volunteers. There is no paid salary here. This is all volunteer, as well as it's based all on your gifts as to ensuring that all the tech, everything is provided that's needed to be able to keep things going. We will always recommend that you follow up on everything and research information yourself to better understand it. But again, we're going to help you find the answers to your questions and recommend you ask them at the end of every class so we can either answer it or then help you find the best place to research it. But for the most part, we're going to support you with finding where that information to start doing that homework, because it is your responsibility to clean up, course correct yourself, and then support the course correcting through the reconstruction of our de jure republic. All right. So we're going to go through part 1, basic foundation and understanding for all assembly members. All right, every member of the assembly needs to have their paperwork published. There's 2 routes to do this, to be able to correct your status. You have the 928 bundle that rebuts all the fraudulent assumptions, the 928 bundle plus your 2 witness testimonies, and that's Article 1598, the Minnesota 220 rule. 2 witnesses from 2 adults, preferably over the lawful age of 21, that have known you for a minimum of 7 years. If you're natural family, you can just put natural brother, natural sister, mother, or whichever, like that. But if you're married into, put how long. If you are adopted in, put the number of years. If friends, how long you've been friends. The minimum requirement is 7 years of knowing you. You don't have to go. They don't have to go into intimate detail about how they know you, but it needs to be defined as to what type of relationship it is, whether it's a friend or family type, and how long. The 1-page declaration of naturalization of so we've got the 928 bundle, and that's a requirement for being an American state citizen, is that 928 bundle. And if you want to to participate in the reconstruction of our true government of, by, and for the people. Okay? And so that's where you're actually wanting to roll up your sleeves and get in and start working. Again, it's all voluntary. There's no salary at this point in time until the assembly is standing and is generating enough funds coming in to establish then salaries for different roles. All right, so the second route to be able to deal with your paperwork is the 1-page Declaration of Naturalization, 1779. It's that second option, but it also includes the 2 witness testimonies. This is the fastest option to get back on the land and soil jurisdiction, but it does limit you to national status. The 928 bundle can be completed at a later date if you decide to take on ASC status, as long as you fulfill the requirements of no licenses, dual loyalties, or dual citizenship status. All right, some notes about the paperwork when you go to do the autograph. Okay, so pay attention. The U.S. has a signature. Okay, and that is anything and everything but knowing who you are, because it's another form of how U.S. citizens want to hide. Okay, well, this is the American autograph now. This is your autograph moving forward. This is not any of this scribble stuff anymore. It's not a doctor's signature or anything like that. You have these specific pieces. The first part is the bicolon in your own wet ink. That's the first front end of the protection, as well it is stating it's by you. A U.S. citizen can't put by and then a scribbly, because they're not going to know who the by is, right? The whole point of putting by is your byline. It says exactly who, so there's no question about who you are. And you're going to put your first name, your full first name, your full middle name, and your last name. Okay? Not middle name and last name, not first name and last name, not first name and middle initial and last name, not nickname and last name. Okay? It's your first full name, full middle name, and your last name. And the copyright symbol then is on the back end to protect. So you're protecting both ends so they can't monetize off your name. It's got a protector on both sides. And again, as you can see in here in the notes, even though it may be the word by and the copyright symbol may actually already be on that piece of paper, it's not part of your autograph if you don't actually include it in your own wet ink. The full wet ink autograph is by : first name, full middle name, last name, and copyright. And then here are examples of how to correctly do your thumbprint seal, where the thumbprint is up straight and it goes over the last part of the last name and the copyright symbol to create that seal. Okay, Tracy, I see you're back in the call again. Have you been able to fix your audio or at least be able to comment in the chat? If you're not able to inform us and let us know what county on Indiana you're on, I will block you from the call completely. We do not hide here. Again, you're distracting our call and delaying the call. So if you're not able to put in the chat what county you live on Indiana today, or if it's Kentucky, you need to let us know. You do not get to sit in the call. All right, thank you very much. All right, no, Tracy, are you able to get the mute? Because you can unmute in the bottom left corner with the mic. I think maybe something's starting. Which county are you on? Tracy?
Yes.
Hi, which county are you on?
Porter County.
Porter County. Okay, welcome, dear. Okay, we being on the free conference call, we actually connect and communicate with each other in this manner, okay? If you don't want to participate in that aspect, you're more than welcome to view on YouTube and get it live as well. But we're actually here to actually get involved and engage and communicate and participate with each other, okay? All right, so you're welcome to go ahead and stay now that you've stated that you're on Porter County, and so you've received the email information about accessing in. So we should be getting you going on your paperwork process, right? And so this will be some good information for you to be able to support you with that as we go further. Again, we're going through here the autograph. The U.S. citizen uses a signature, which is a script that is anything but trying to decipher what that name actually is. And U.S. citizens are in constant hiding. Americans are up front. We're facing. Okay? We deal directly. U.S. citizens want to hide, and they're become corporate entities so that there's a extra shell for an extra mask to hide under. Your autograph moving forward includes in your own wet ink bicolon, first name, full middle name, last name, and copyright signature and copyright. It has to be in your own wet ink for it to actually be considered part of your autograph, even if it's already printed on the paper, even though the bicolon is already on the paper and the copyright's already on the paper. It's not your own wet ink. Your full autograph is the full with the full bicolon and copyright. Now, your women have different issues dealing with their name because originally women were not supposed to change their name because your father gives you your name. However, through all of this, so that they can incorporate everybody and go through this process, it became a standard that the men or women, the men usually gave the women their last name, so the women went through a name change process and this sort of thing. Okay, so many get confused as to what name you're going to come in with your paperwork. Some think they only can come in with their birth certificate name. Some think they're going to use this as an opportunity to change their name completely. Okay, well, first thing you want to start with is you're going to go with the name that's your everyday trade name, that's your current name. So, for example, I'm married. I've been married 29 years now. And I went through a period, because of going through all of my studying and everything, through this process, I went through a period where I wasn't supposed to change my name, so I was going back to my birth certificate name, still totally married to my husband, who's still right in the other room right now, and he's a armored up national himself as well. And so it took some time to get through this process. But my name is Christine Michelle Van Pelt is the married name, Nee Bundy. Bundy is my birth certificate name. And then here are examples of how to autograph correctly. And then how to use your thumbprint seal correctly. You're not going to put it over to the side or underneath or above or anywhere else around. It goes straight up over the last part of the name and the copyright symbol. That way it creates that seal to connect the two. All right. So path 1 is the 928 bundle. Now, with the 928 bundle, the purpose of this is because it's rebutting any assumptions. Okay? So we have, within this bundle, there are 6 documents within the bundle, but then you also have the 2 witness affirmations, and then you'll have to present a birth certificate as well as a current photo ID or driver's license with verification of your current Indiana home address. Okay, you have to live on Indiana today, not that you were born on Indiana and used to live here, or that you plan on living here but haven't actually moved yet. You have to actually be living here today, calling it your home. All right, so we have deed of reconveyance. A deed of reconveyance is if you were born on one of the 50 states, and you'll autograph that with a printed autograph, not a cursive autograph on the deed of reconveyance. It's printed because it's a deed, and all deeds are in red. With the exception of the deed of conveyance, the only ones doing deed of conveyance is if they're a naturalized citizen. So they were born on another land and soil outside of the United States of America. And in that case, because they're coming from the sea, they will do their printed autograph in blue. And so you're only going to have one or the other. If you were born on one of the 50 states, you're doing the deed of reconveyance. If you were born on another country, then it's the deed of conveyance. Then there's the certificate of assumed names. Oh, and let me state, with the deed of reconveyance, it goes back from the time of your moment of birth to put you on the land from the moment of your birth. The certificate of assumed names, you wouldn't have any authority to be able to do the certificate of assumed name until you've done the deed of reconveyance. The certificate of assumed name captures all of your names, all the different variation spellings of your names, and allows you to do the copyright symbol with it. As well as it makes you the priority creditor, not any kind of secured party creditor. Secured party creditor process is a C jurisdiction process that has you give up your property in order to try and secure it, when as an American you're the first priority creditor. First priority creditor means you're first in line. Above all those, no matter how many went through anything to secure anything, for any kind of secured creditor, it means nothing because you're the first priority creditor. You're also authorized representative, so that if the de facto tries to use any of the other names, you are the representative for those names. You're the banker for that, for your vessel. You are the postmaster for your vessel. That certificate of assumed name is a valuable piece of valuable document, and it's 3 pages. Okay, it is the only one out of these documents here that is more than 1 page. There is no reason for any of the other documents to be on more than 1 page, not even the notary block, or not even the notary signature on 1 page and the stamp on the second. No. The only document within this bundle that's more than 1 page is the certificate of assumed name, and your autograph needs to be on the same page with the notary's autograph with the notary's stamp. Or if you're going to a public notary, or the assembly recording secretary as the notary. All right, so then there's the cancellation of all prior powers of attorney. We have a exception version, so that because many have, like, older parents that they're have a medical or a financial power of attorney with them, so we have an exception process with that canceled prior power of attorneys. The acts of expatriation. There are 3 names to each set of name that you have. So, for example, my birth certificate name is Christine Michelle Bundy, but there are 3 names connected to that. It's Christine Michelle Bundy, the trademark estate name. There's Christine M. Bundy, the transmitting utility name, and then Christine Bundy, the ward of the state. Then I also have a whole set of Christine Michelle Van Pelt, Christine M. Van Pelt, and Christine Van Pelt. Now, in my situation, because my married name is 2 words, we've had through the years difficulties with that space. Some systems wouldn't take the space, some do. So I had to also have a whole set of 3 that didn't have the space. Okay, and then if you were married previously, you would put all the divorce names in there, all names used. But of course, you want to make sure you have your birth certificate names and your current trade name. And this is you, the living man or woman, are not expatriating with this acts of expatriation. The acts of expatriation involves all the all-capped names. Okay, those are the ones that were fraudulently converted. Okay, converted into patriation. Those are the ones you're expatriating, and you, the living man or woman, have the authority through that certificate of assumed name that you received through the deed of reconveyance of being on the land, that you have the authority to expatriate those names. And the cancel of prior powers of attorney, those are you, the living man or woman, not any of the all caps name status with that. It's understanding that the all caps names is a completely separate fraud identity that was created separate from you. Then there's the Mandatory Notice of Foreign Sovereign Immunities Act, that's going to have all the U.S. codes that back up that you are also a foreign sovereign. And then the DNA paramount claim, and that covers from the not only from the time of your birth on the land with the deed of reconveyance, but the paramount claim goes all the way back to even when your parents were married. Because we were told that our Father has known us even before we were in our mother's womb. And then, of course, the 2 copies, birth certificate copies, and then verification of where on Indiana currently living with a current photo, ID, driver's license, that sort of thing. Now, if your ID or driver's license, it has to be current, but your address, you've moved since you got that, you need to present a copy of something, whether it's like a utility bill or a rent or mortgage payment, something like that, that has your name and the current home address on Indiana. Okay, so that's for the 928 bundle. and there's more information. You'll look for article. It's called 928 bundle because it happened to be the article number that Anna had written at the time that put these documents, listed them together. All right, so if you didn't want to go through those documents, which this is the tighter seal of taking control of everything for yourself, there is the one pager, the fast track, the Declaration of Naturalization of 1779. But of course, you still have to present the 2 witness testimonies, birth certificate, and current photo ID with verification of current Indiana home address. Now, this is just for your basic of correcting your status, just the basics. So, what's the difference between the 928 and the 1779 documents? Well, that 1779 is that quick way through to get back on the land and soil, where that 928 is bulletproof. It covers all gamuts to be able to support you, as well as it is necessary to be an American state citizen. All right, so now the actual publishing part of the paperwork. So that can be done in 2 ways: on the land recording office, or you can go to a county recorder's office, and I'm trying to minimize that a little bit so we can see better. Okay, county recorder's office, and then you would go use the Register of Deeds or as miscellaneous if you're going to record there. But in order to actually be able to, it's great that it is on the record. It has to be on a published record, whether it's through the assembly, through the land recording office, or if you go to a county recorder's office. But if you're wanting to get a ASN credential card, it'll have to go through, we have to have that info through the LRO, as well as presenting it to the assembly. Whether your intent is to actively support the assembly or not, that's fine. But in order to declare your status, especially with the 1779, because it clearly states that you're putting it on the record of the Indiana Assembly, therefore you need to also present it to the Indiana Assembly and not just tell a publishing place that, yeah, you've done it, but it actually has to be on the assembly record. All right, so again, once you're on the LRO, then you're able to order credential cards. U.S. citizens have IDs because they're property. We're Americans. We're living. We can own property. We're not the property, so we have credentials. And that serves as proof that you've been fully published on either one, because you can present the recorded information from the other county for us to work through that for you as well. And it would be a replacement for your driver's license if asked for a picture ID. Yes, there are mixed results. It's not like a magic wand that's going to wave or a Band-Aid or something. You can't say, recognize me as a national, but don't recognize me. You can't have both with that. It still boils down to the knowledge that living man or woman that you're dealing with in the moment has at the time. Right? Then you also have to take into consideration you have no idea what they just came from or just dealt with before they got to you. So, but once you get to the credentials, then we put that challenge out there as to, okay, well, then leave that driver's license at home, because just as soon as you show that driver's license to them, you've acknowledged that you're their property, and therefore you're in their jurisdiction, and they can do whatever they want to do with you at that point. And there's no calling the assembly to say, hey, get me out of this. No. You had an opportunity with your credential. All right, so now additional documents after status correction is published. So then there's the Declaration of Political Status, including the copy of the cover letter and proof of mailing to Blinken and Bitter as to present to the assembly. Marriage paperwork. My husband and I, because we've been married so long, and our pastor, he passed away, good 15 years ago or so. So what we did was we have a third party revocation of contract that we sent to cancel the actual contract of it. And fortunately, our pastor's wife, though, did, for our marriage, she created the holy matrimony certificate for us. And I've also recorded that for us as well. Common carry. It may, if you purchased a bundle doc prep, it may be in there, it would be in there as well. Common carry, that's about how you carry yourself in general, commonly, not just about whether you're going to carry arms or not. Because remember, a pen is mightier than the sword, right? Then if for baby deeds for those that are under the lawful age of 21, do not submit a baby deed for yourself thinking that will take the place of a birth certificate. The baby deed process is for those children under the lawful age of 21, and only a parent or a grandparent has the authority that has corrected their status. They have to have at least done the bare minimum to correct their status, the 1779 and the 2 witness testimonies. Present then the baby deed with the birth certificate that backs up that detail information that goes with that. The baby deed itself then is recorded on within your record. Then if you wanted to get credentials for your child, you'd have to create a record for them, and then we'd put it as child so that they would have the ability to get credentials. And then there's the fee schedule. The fee schedule combines all the federal and municipal code violations as well as all the fees applied to that. Don't look at the fee schedule to be, well, when can I start serving these people and when they're going to start paying a check? No. Fee schedule is primarily for that, to get them to stop harassing you. You can play the same game that they play, and we'll see how this goes. Right? But that fee, don't look to say, well, I'm just going to start billing this one for this and this one for this. No, there's also a due process. You have to first serve them notice and give them opportunity to cure. If they don't, then you start serving them with invoices from the fee schedule. We invoice to others where they send a bill. And then if you are former military, there's the military retirement process, because even though you have your DD 216, DD 214, you're not actually out, because they'll tell you at any point in time they can call you back, which is part of the fraud, because you can't have an in without an out. There has to be an out. Okay. So these are steps to follow once you've done the 1779 and the 928s, and these are helpful to further tighten up your status correction, as well as presenting to the assembly to be able to show that you've canceled these contracts, set these documents in place, so that you're in a safe position to be able to support the reconstruction of the assembly. It's not like the U.S. We don't just allow anybody in. Okay? It's not a free-for-all. If you want that wide path, there are district and municipal assemblies out there. You can correct your status here, be able to access the prosperity card information and everything. But, if you're more about doing your own thing and reforming the other, then you can go over to the district or a municipal assembly, or just live your life and not get involved with the reconstruction of the assembly. But if you want to support, these are things to be able to show. And this is to ensure the safety of the assembly and all the members of the assembly, because the de facto are liars. They will use your Aunt Sally against you. They will use your own words against you. So that's not what we're here for. We're breaking this recurring issue with brother against brother. We're here to help each other. So then letters and notices to send. And again, you'll send copies of this for your assembly record to verify that you've completed these processes for your status correction. You're going to withdraw from all voter registration. Those aren't your elections in the first place. I like to use the metaphor that it's not like Eli Lilly. They're not going to let you go vote in anything and think that anything that you voted in that it actually has any impact on policy and what's going on, right? Same concept. It's not your deal. You're not even working there, right? You're not working for them, so it's not your election. And as long as you're a voter in their system, that gives them full authority to summons you to court, arrest your vessel, take you. Okay? That's one of the main things you need to cancel. So then, after you've published your status correction, and this part can't be done until you've corrected your status. There are some things you can do after the fact, but some things you have to do before, because if you don't, it's called putting the cart before the horse, and that doesn't work, as Anna says. You cannot put the cart before the horse. So afterwards, you're going to have two letters you're going to have your declaration of political status notarized, and you want an embossed seal. If you go to a regular state-of-state public notary, and they don't have an embossed seal, which most of the times they won't, because what they'll say is, we don't really use them anymore, even though state of Indiana still allows for both a stamped and embossed notary seal. Most don't do it because it's their own expense to be able to pay for that. So most of them don't even bother with it. But so if you are to go to a public notary, which is a regular state notary, there's nothing different about it. The paperwork's already set that they do not need to do any adjustment to the notary block in any way. Do not let them alter the notary block. Do not allow them to add a second notary page. It will be rejected. Okay? Because this is land and soil jurisdiction, and the notary blocks are already established in land and soil jurisdiction. Okay, we've had some delay of getting things going here, but we'll go ahead and keep going. All right, so then you're going to again, you got your cover letter. So if your notary didn't have a embossed seal, make sure you get it to me, and I can be able to get that embossed seal on it for you. Then send it with your cover letters. It's the same cover letter, but one's going to U.S. Secretary of Treasury Blinken. The other is going to Assistant Secretary of Consular Affairs Bitter. So I would say I would give the embossed sealed one to Bitter, and the copy of the seal on to Blinken, because Blinken isn't really doing anything, right? Whereas Bitter is in Consular Affairs. Okay. Then there are the two letters of revocation of election to pay taxes. Same man, but two different jurisdictions, two different locations. One is the IRS commissioner, and one is the Internal Revenue Service commissioner. One's New York, one's DC. So there's two letters for those. A lot of times the registered mail is becoming complicated. They're delaying those further, even though that's supposed to be part of the process to ensure that it gets there by a certain point. They're delaying those deliberately. So Anna has said that you can also do priority mail. So that way you get a tracking number is the main point, so that you can get a tracking, because that serves also as your service of notice. You're going to keep copies of your letters sent, your mail receipts, any green cards. Copies are going to be sent to the assembly for your record. Don't send photos. Don't send a collage of all the photos of everything put together in one picture. Okay, remember these are going to actually be published to show that they've been done. So it needs to be on regular PDF document size for each item. If you can work the receipt on the letter with each letter for the appropriate receipt, that would be great. That's fine. Just don't cover up parts of the letter. Okay? You want it to be clear. It's not to make a pretty fancy display. You want it to be clear. We're forward in this, being upfront. All right. Then we strongly recommend to take the Sign in America class. It is going to reinforce what we've gone through in here. It also goes through the jurisdictions. Then there's also encouragement of the training course is America Some Assembly required. Both of these study courses are Federation level training Federation training courses that are very economical, but they're valuable information to be able to support you in your learning experience. So the publishing options is the Land Recording Office, or the LRO, or a county recorder. There's a third option coming, but I'm waiting for them to get caught up with things before we work through with moving Indiana on, as they've been trying to work through computer issues to get things so it's not so bogged down, and they're also trying to get more help to be able to support as well. After you published your paperwork, any other documents you need to complete? Yes, the Declaration of Political Status, IRS, that kind of thing. If you hadn't done the voter registration yet, you're going to take care of that. All right, so for the fun part. All right, so everyone has the basic questions they either ask themselves or they get asked by someone. How are we called into session? By what authority and what documentation? Who's the governing authority that gives us proper status and standing? So we'll review all these questions and point you to resources for those answers. All right, so the chaos began in 1861. 7 southern nation states of America walked out of the second session of the 36th Congress on March 27th, 1861. The problem was it was adjourned as sine die, meaning without a fixed day. There was no actual date for it to reconvene set. So that's why you'll see on the assembly call agendas being adjourned to the next call date, ensuring that that's in there. April 15th, 1861, President Lincoln reconvened Congress under the executive branch by proclamation through General Orders 100, known as the Lieber Code, and here's the link. This required the Army or Department of Defense today to pay reparations to all non-combatant civilians harmed. So that's a short read, but very important, and that is important in our history here. So the Federation of States was then created in September of 76 as a means for the states to act together as one body in the international and global jurisdictions. So you got to look at America like the EU is really the best example. The EU is comprised of several countries, several nation states of their own within one. Right? They're known as the European Union, but it has England, it has Scotland, it has Germany, all the countries within the EU. They're individual nation states within themselves. Same thing here. Indiana is its own nation state. Kentucky, its own nation state. California, Washington, Florida, New Hampshire, we are each our own nation state. Okay? The Federation has no national level powers at all and is not itself the sovereign body. That's where the people come in on the states. So that's why the states are national level. The Federation is an agency of the states representing the sovereign bodies of the states of the Union in the foreign, international, and global jurisdictions. In business structure terms, the Federation is an unincorporated holding company that holds the international and global powers that each of the states grants or bestows to it for their mutual defense and protection. As an unincorporated holding company, the Federation could then act as a delegator of all powers given to it. The powers were then delegated to the Confederation. Later, another delegation of powers were made under the constitutions. When any of the subcontractors, those contracted through the constitutions or even the Confederation, were unable to function, all delegated powers returned to the Federation via operation of law. So in order to operate in international and global business realms, at that time the Federation had to operate under a recognized sovereign, a head of state, to make a request of another head of state. Unfortunately, each individual state couldn't be recognized as sovereign in international jurisdiction and still have the advantage of mutually shared powers. So, the answer to this dilemma, the founders used the sovereign status of William Belcher, a patriot from Connecticut, who John Adams knew and who later served as a colonel in the Continental Army under Washington. So when did the Great Fraud begin and what caused it? So it began in 1861. The 36th Congress adjourned sine die, no date for the next adjournment. So, little known safeguards. William Belcher and his family were granted sovereignty equal to kings by William the Conqueror after the Norman conquest in England. The Magna Carta came later. Like his forefathers, he believed that people should learn to be self-governing. The great seals of both the United States territorial and the United States of America, and notice the isn't part of either one in that. The United States of America's municipal are part of the Belcher coat of arms array. The evidence and provenance has been carefully handed down through the Belcher family to today. As a result, he and his progeny became yet another safeguard for the new American government, and the hereditary office of head of state passed down to them because every ship that sails under the Great Seals gifted by the Belchers. This means all corporations, ships, and commerce taking place worldwide by American vessels fall under the head of state. Which we do have a process that you, once you've corrected your status, that if you do have your own business already in play, we have a way to be able to transfer you out of the public into the private, as well as to help you if you didn't and you wanted to start your own trade, start new. We can support you with that as well. As far as the getting the paperwork going, getting things moving, that kind of stuff. The Belchers are still the protectors of the Federation on the sea and in the air. Belcher is anglicized version of Belcher. The family is Norman French, not British. Belcher is a clan named, and James Belcher, the head of state, shares the lineage. And James Belcher is Anna's husband. The Belchers act, or at least that's his family line. Anna's husband's family line is the Belchers. They act to protect the interests of the states and people and keep the Federation alive, albeit with a skeleton crew of volunteers when the states are not in session. Thus, they summon the states to assemble and take care of business to deal with the mass mess. All right, the states and the Federation. The members of the Federation are the states of the Union. The states of the Union are represented by state assemblies, which are the embodiment of the states when in session. The Federation continues to hold the mutual powers of all the states. Those gathered to run the Federation's administration are all volunteers right now. Again, we're all volunteers. Functions of the Federation have been dictated to date by past practice and necessity, all of which are practical matters, including locating assets belonging to the states and people and putting an end to the great fraud against Americans. In doing so, we all act under the prudent man fiduciary standard. This means we administer all affairs of state with the same standard we would exercise as if the assets and resources belonged to us in a private capacity. We use carriage accounting method. Carriage accounting is in and out, simple in and out, and the calendar year, not double or accrual or the federal's fiscal year. Fiscal year is usually July 1st to June 30th. So how are we here? There are three ways our founding fathers determined that the state assemblies may be called into session. So there's the one, they may be summoned by the President of the United States of America, unincorporated. Well, there's been no president elected for the unincorporated Federation of States before 1861. Two, there's a committee of 9 state assemblies may call the General Assembly, but the only state that was still in session was Texas, so it couldn't have had any form of a quorum. So then there's the third option. They may be summoned by the United States of America unincorporated under the hereditary head of state. This is the method used to bring the assemblies into session. So what's the Federation? It's set up as a holding company of the international and global jurisdictions of the states to allow representation in those arenas, responsible for calling the states into session and general guidance to help stand up the states to protect all Americans working to reconstruct our lawful government. And how are the states called into session? Summoned through under the hereditary head of state. So if you haven't already done so, get your paperwork completed. With your recording secretary at this point in time, I'm the lead recording secretary for the assembly, so I'll be supporting you with that. Key points to remember: little known safeguards the founders put in place using the Belcher family allowed the assemblies to be brought into session. The Federation is representation in international jurisdiction for all states and is our current governing authority until we can stand up our states. The Great Fraud began in 1861 when Congress adjourned sine die after the election of Abraham Lincoln, a bar attorney with dual loyalties to the British Crown. And that's why as a state citizen you can't have dual loyalties. Part 2, Assembly Missions and Jurisdictions. What are they? Original call to session by the Federation, so we're having an overview. In the Indiana Assembly's mission statement, the 3 jurisdictions that you need to know. So, Reconstruction begins. Be it known to all whom these presents come that there is a lawful and legal means provided for Texas and every other state to assemble, and that means of lawful and peaceable assembly requires the process to take place under the authority and guidance of a recognized summoning authority. On is Article 3232. So the owner of the Great Seals, the hereditary head of state, James Belcher, called the states into session, which is the United States of America, our unincorporated federation of states. This was the only possible means left to call the states into session. So the responsibility of calling the states into session carries with it the obligation to ensure the assemblies created are peaceful and composed of qualified people living within the borders of each state. Again, you have to be living in that state that you're presenting to for you to be qualified. From there, provide discipline, framework, and guidance to establish on each state a general assembly, a business international assembly, a jural assembly, public court, and a state militia assembly. So the jural assembly is the public court. Those that have declared and recorded the redemption of their birthright political status are considered qualified people. The Reconstruction is in progress and not given to interpretation. The Federation oversees the legal and peaceable nature of the state assemblies that result from the Reconstruction. Otherwise, our activities could be mistaken as hostile actions and be legally suppressed by military force. Once the Indiana State Assembly is fully seated, the Federation will step back from its current oversight duties. It's our duty to uphold the peace and the public law. And here's the article of what your public duty is, Article 3071. So what's the duty of the Federation relative to our Assembly? Oversight of the reconstruction of the lawful government owed the people on Indiana. So, the mission statement. Again, if you are on YouTube, please make sure and put your name and what county you currently live on, and that's on Indiana, that we can be able to know that you're present with us. All right, the Indiana Assembly mission statement. Our Indiana Assembly is dedicated to the restoration of a complete and fully operational land and soil jurisdiction, state and county court system serving the people of Indiana. That's one. The preservation of the national trust, the enforcement of the public law, the upholding of the federal constitution owed to our state and people, the repopulation of our land and soil jurisdiction, the filling of vacated public offices, and the reclamation of our material and intellectual public and private assets. To these ends, we, the living people on Indiana, have called the eligible Indiana nationals and electors to assemble, and we have established the process and procedure to qualify jurors and others competent to hold state citizenship and public office. We do this peacefully and without rancor in the exercise of our unincorporated powers and capacities. So remember, we're all working towards a common goal. We are all equals working toward a better future. We're all volunteers at this stage and not anyone's employee. Nor is there a whole team supporting everything for the assembly at this point. Right now, you're looking at her. The golden rule is treat others the way you want to be treated, with respect, decency, and understanding. So, some things to consider. Why are you here? Is it to build a better future for all Indianians? Will you do your part to reconstruct the lawful government we're all owed, even when obstacles, bumps, and scrapes come your way? These questions are things to ponder in your daily life as you grow in knowledge and discernment. As the famous saying goes, united we stand, divided we fall. So how should we conduct ourselves during all assembly meetings? Treat others the way you want to be treated. Respect each other. All right, so some hard parts. Jurisdiction. So which ones do you think go together? So we'll go ahead and move forward here. So the Pope is over the air, which is municipal. The British Crown is over the sea, which is territorial. And the people are on the land, federation. Let's see why. Okay, so in 1302, the first and largest express trust is created by Pope Boniface VIII, the Unum Sanctum, 1302. This was followed by the First Testamentary Trust in 1455, the Second Testamentary Trust in 1481, and the Third Testamentary Trust in 1537 by the popes of the time periods. The trust was separated into different jurisdictions of air, sea, and land. Let's review the differences. So, Pope Boniface VIII started the separation of jurisdictions in 1302, and then later popes created other trusts that continued the separation of the jurisdictions. So in the air jurisdiction, that is global in nature and controlled by the Pope and his appointees. So air is Pope and it's municipal. Things associated with the jurisdiction of air include living and dead souls in the form of trusts, wills and patents, ideas, global in nature. Air jurisdiction is made up of the following: Roman civil law, slavery, that's using the all-cap name, ecclesiastical in nature, has harsh punishments. The Pope represents a duality of Christianity and the Holy Roman Empire that's not holy. The maximum let him who would be deceived is still in effect because of this duality. Okay, the sea jurisdiction, international in nature and controlled by the British monarchs. So the British control the sea and it's territorial. Those under this jurisdiction are U.S. citizen resident, which we are not residents. We're domiciled on the land, but we're not residents. Taxpayers, all vessels, mariners, sailors, merchants, creatures of the sea, international in nature. It's made of admiralty and maritime law that applies to vessels in their jurisdiction. So it also includes private law, international law of the sea, attorneys, corporations, which are dead entities, and commerce. Then there's the land jurisdiction. It's national in nature and was given to the Spanish king to control in the original trust. The Spanish king gave up his control of the trust of the land jurisdiction back to the people. after the Declaration of Independence, Americans gained control of the land jurisdiction. So land equals people, the federation of states, not the federal government. It's the federation of states. Jurisdiction, people, animals, plants, and minerals. It's the land and all the resources of the land. So it's the land jurisdiction is owed public law, known as common law. So the law foundations, common law, Geneva Conventions, Constitution, Mosaic Law, Declaration of Independence, common sense. So who oversees air? That's the Pope, Roman civil law. The sea is the British Crown, Admiralty and Maritime law. That's private corporate law. And then land jurisdiction is the people through common law, which is the actual public law. And here are additional videos that you can watch, as well as, again, the Sign in America study course is huge on giving you information on the jurisdictions, but here are some great short videos to help you with that. All right, so before the next class, review all the links within this PowerPoint and all the information in here. Anna's book, Something is Wrong When. There's the link, or you can purchase the book. I have the book here. Let's see. You can get the book here. Something is Wrong When. Then you're going to want to think about your personal mission statement as an American state national or citizen and create one. And if you're interested in sharing with us, we'll look forward to hearing in the next class. So, in summary, the Belcher Safeguard put in place by the founders allowed the assemblies to be called into session after a long slumber. The Federation has oversight until Indiana state is fully assembled to ensure the protection of all Americans upon the land and soil. There is no final review. I need to update that. And everyone needs to consider why they're part of the assembly and why they corrected their status. Remember that the air is the Pope under municipal, it's global jurisdiction. The sea jurisdiction is international in nature, territorial by the Crown. And then, of course, the land is Americans and it's national. Here are additional links to be able to get you to further your studies. Here's also a brief report by Anna, Declaration of Flag by James Belcher, her husband. Anna's books are available either here or also at the ASN store. All right, so that is all for this today's presentation. I wanted to also show you that you can go on Rumble. If you find, yay, I'm on the land, now what? And you can be able to, this is Michelle Ford. She's the California Assembly State Coordinator, and she's been doing an awesome job of supporting Americans through just some of the basics on what to deal with at this point. We want to remember that PKTF News, Peacekeeper Task Force News, there's a great deal of information to be able to help support. If nothing else, look up information about what the militia is, and then it's not any concept of like National Guard that you would think in any way. And this will give you more information. Now, Joe, he is the executive director for the Peacekeeping Task Force. Here's his link tree. Its link is linktr.ee/PKTF News, and here's all of his links in one place. All right, so the Indiana Assembly has a link tree as well, just created this, so it's linktree linktr.ee/Indiana Assembly. Here are several links for us. Here is a link that if you to be able to book consulting or recording with me. Here, search Anna's articles directly. Here's correct your status, chart your course, the 50 state site. Here's a link to PKTF News we just talked about, Assembly. And here are our social media links where live streaming through YouTube. The calls are through a free conference call to be able to connect and communicate and engage with each other. We have videos, locals, Odyssey, and here is link for LinkedIn for myself as coordinator. So here is Telegram. Join us with Telegram. We just started this, as well as we're needing to have a place to be able to connect outside of emails, that we can still be able to connect and keep things going. So At Home on Indiana. So find us on Telegram at Home on Indiana. The @ symbol, Home on Indiana, to find us and join the channel on Telegram with us. All right, so I think that was all for this evening's call. I want to wish you peace and love. Hopefully we'll see you in about 45 minutes for the assembly call. It's the General Assembly. Please join us. Don't think that that the General Assembly is, that you have to be where you're doing everything. No, you do want to still be able to join us to be able to see what's going on, right? But if you are armored up and ready to start supporting, join us on free conference call, so you can actually, because we're here to be able to communicate with each other, engage, and actually participate to be able to do this. So I want to thank you all for taking the time with us here. My screen, they're not shaking. Okay, and it did it real quick. Take the time to check us out on Telegram, and here's free conference call. You can always also scroll down and see the calendar. You can see all the dates put in through the end of March at this point, or you can just sit and listen to the radio. Hopefully at some point it should start showing a recording here for us at some point. I've got this set up as a podcasting thing set up, but we'll see how that goes. So I want to thank you all for taking time and to be with us today, and I wish you well. We'll see you on next week's call. Peace and love.